Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like a stranger to your own potential? Like you've been living as a watered-down version of who you were meant to be? Not broken, just buried beneath comfort, distractions, and the same old routines that slowly erased your edge. Now imagine this. In 7 days, you could become unrecognizable. Not through luck, not through motivation, but through discipline so ruthless it leaves no part of the old you standing. This is not a motivational video. This is a challenge, a call to war against your own limits. The Stoics didn't wait for the perfect moment. They seized it. They didn't beg fate. They aligned with it. And now it's your turn. Over the next 7 days, you will destroy who you were and begin building the version of you that commands respect. First from yourself, and then from the world. But before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because if you're serious about mastering your life through discipline, self-respect, and ancient wisdom, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Day 1 starts now. Day 1, destroy the old self. If you want to change your life in 7 days, you don't start by adding new habits. You start by burning the bridge to your past self. Why? Because every real transformation begins with destruction. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." But he also understood that sometimes the greatest obstacle is the self you've become comfortable with. The one who avoids discomfort, the one who talks more than he acts. That version of you, he cannot follow you into the next chapter. He must die here. This is day 1, and it begins with brutal clarity. Take a notebook and write down the exact habits, thoughts, and behaviors that have made you weak. What keeps you in comfort? What distracts you from your purpose? What numbs you instead of building you? Write it all. Don't sugarcoat it. Be ruthless. If your mornings begin with mindless scrolling, that's not harmless. It's training your mind to seek stimulation instead of structure. If you avoid confrontation to keep the peace, you're building a life where your boundaries are erased one silent day at a time. The Stoics called this clarity ataraxia, a state of inner peace that comes from detachment. But detachment isn't passive. It's violent in a disciplined way. It means saying, this identity I've worn, this version of myself who hesitates, complains, avoids, he dies today. Seneca warned us not to wait for death to start living. He said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And today that waste ends. You will not carry this burden into tomorrow. Now you must perform a symbolic act, a ritual of separation, something that signals to your subconscious, I'm done living like that. Maybe you shave your beard. Maybe you burn a list of bad habits. Maybe you throw out the clothes that represent the old you. Maybe you go for a cold, punishing run in silence. This isn't aesthetic. This is sacred. In Stoic practice, premeditatio malorum meant visualizing difficulty before it came. But today you do more than visualize. You initiate the rupture. You don't just imagine hardship. You become the one who causes it intentionally to free yourself. History honors this approach. When Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, he uttered the words, "The die is cast." There was no turning back. He had committed to revolution. That's what you're doing now. There is no turning back. You cannot wake up tomorrow as the same man. If you do, it means you weren't serious. It means this was entertainment, not execution. By the end of today, there should be emotional residue. You should feel uneasy, disoriented, even a little afraid. Good. That's the nervous system letting go of familiarity. That's the soul waking up. Let that discomfort fuel you. Embrace it like a Stoic. Because what you don't destroy today will destroy your momentum tomorrow. Let me be clear. This isn't about self-hate. This is about self-respect. You respect yourself enough to refuse to stay mediocre. You refuse to be the man who's all potential and no progress. Day 1 is not gentle. It's not inspiring. It's a funeral for the version of you that could have survived if you hadn't finally said, enough. So tonight, don't just go to bed. Bury the past. Say a silent goodbye. And as you close your eyes, commit this to memory. Tomorrow I wake up as someone else, not by accident, but by choice. This is day 1, and the old you doesn't survive the night. Day 2, physical reinvention. Yesterday, you destroyed the old self. Today, you begin the process of rebuilding, and the first brick is your body. Why the body? Because your physical state is the most immediate reflection of your discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must build up your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." The most accessible arena for that action is your body. How you move, how you eat, how you breathe, how you carry yourself. All of it sends a signal to your mind. Either we're in control or we've surrendered. You don't need a gym membership or fancy supplements. You need command. Your body is not a decoration. It's your vessel, your battlefield, your signal to the world. If it's neglected, your mind will be dragged down with it. That's why today's mission is simple. Reclaim your body through voluntary discomfort. From the moment you wake up, you train. Not to punish yourself, but to prove that you're not owned by comfort anymore. You're showing yourself that pain is no longer the enemy. It's the proof you're in motion. The Stoics believed in training both mind and body for adversity. Epictetus, born into slavery and left crippled from beatings, taught that the body was simply an instrument for the soul to practice virtue. Difficulties show men what they are, he said. So today, seek difficulty. Push your body in ways it hasn't moved in months or years. Run until your lungs burn. Lift until your muscles tremble. Sweat until your excuses evaporate. This isn't about aesthetics. It's about dominance. Control. Prove Beruman to you. In the ancient world, physical training was not optional. It was survival. The Spartans conditioned themselves to embrace pain. The Roman legions carried their weapons for miles each day. Even Stoic philosophers, despite their focus on the mind, saw the body as the first domain of control. Seneca fasted. He took cold baths. He walked barefoot through the snow, not for spectacle, but for resilience. He wrote, "We treat the body rigorously so that it may not be disobedient to the mind." And because a mind that tries to rule a weak body eventually folds. So today, build your ritual. Don't just work out once. Move with intensity 3 times, morning, midday, evening. Short bursts were not on negotiation. 1 to break the inertia. 1 to disrupt comfort. 1 to reinforce discipline. Your body responds to rhythm. Today, you write a new one. And every session, no matter how brief, is a vote for the man you're becoming, not the one you're trying to escape. Now change the way you eat. No sugar, no processed junk, no numbing with food. Eat simply, eat clean. Think like a warrior. What fuels my clarity? What makes me sharper, calmer, more focused? Eat for energy, not for escape. Even thirst can become a tool. Only water today, cold, clear, pure. Every bite, every sip sends a message. I am no longer feeding the old self. And posture, don't ignore it. How you carry yourself is the first signal of internal order. Straighten your spine. Breathe from the gut. Slow your walk. Your physical presence should speak before your mouth ever does. The Stoics didn't shout. They walked with calm, deliberate control. So will you. Command is not something you request. It's something you radiate. By the end of day 2, your body should ache. That ache is proof. Proof that the old identity is losing its grip. Proof that your discipline is becoming real. You will crave the old comforts. Let them scream. Don't answer. This is how you teach the body who's in charge. You're not trying to look strong. You're proving to yourself that you can endure. This is not a glow-up. This is a warpath. This is the building of a frame strong enough to hold a new identity. This is day 2, and you are no longer just thinking differently. You are moving differently. Day 3, mental upgrade. You've burned the old self. You've begun to reclaim your body. But if your mind is still running the old operating system, you will eventually revert. This is why today is about a complete mental upgrade. Because the most powerful transformation isn't physical, it's invisible. It happens in the way you think, the way you interpret pain, and the story you silently tell yourself when no one's watching. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Suranana, that's not poetic fluff. That's neuroplasticity before the word existed. Your repeated thoughts form grooves in your brain. If those thoughts are anxious, weak, or self-sabotaging, you will act that way even when the world around you changes. If your inner dialogue doesn't evolve, then your outer habits won't either. Today we begin rewiring that voice. First, we bring it to the surface. Pay attention to your internal monologue when things go wrong. When you feel pain, boredom, rejection, what do you instinctively say to yourself? Most people don't even notice, but that voice determines how you respond to life. And response is everything. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That reaction starts as a thought. So today, you train it. Interrupt every limiting belief you hear in your own mind. When you catch yourself thinking, "I'm tired," replace it. "This is where I get stronger." Otonon, when your brain says, "I can't," you say, "I don't quit." Not because it's motivational, but because you're conditioning a new pattern. Like lifting weights, the brain must be challenged to grow. This is mental resistance training. You're no longer a passenger of your thoughts. You're the driver now. And each repetition of discipline rewires your perception of who you are. If you need proof this is possible, look at Viktor Frankl, a neurologist and philosopher who survived the darkest depths of human suffering, not because he was physically stronger than others, but because he clung to the meaning he chose for his suffering. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl didn't escape his pain, he reframed it. And that reframing gave him a reason to endure, rebuild, and teach others how to find freedom within. Second, eliminate mental junk food. If you flood your mind with gossip, negativity, and shallow stimulation, you pollute your inner world. No scrolling today. No random distractions. Instead, flood your thoughts with clarity. Read philosophy. Write down your new beliefs. I am no longer ruled by emotions. I don't chase comfort. I train discomfort. Currently, these are not mantras. They are commands. And every time you repeat them, you carve a new mental path. You are reshaping the very terrain of your mind to reflect who you are becoming. Third, reconnect your mind to your body. Your physiology influences your psychology. When you slouch, you signal weakness to the brain. When you breathe shallowly, you trigger anxiety. Today, breathe deeply, move intentionally, speak slowly. Walk like a man who knows where he's going, even if the road isn't clear yet. The mind listens to the body more than we realize. Use that to your advantage. Make your movements speak the language of discipline and sovereignty. By the end of day 3, your thinking should feel cleaner. You should catch negative thoughts mid-sentence. You should find yourself choosing response over reaction. That is the upgrade. You're not just thinking more positively, you're thinking more clearly, more strategically, more like a master in command of his inner domain. You are no longer available to every thought that appears. You are the gatekeeper now. This is day 3. And from this point forward, your mind is no longer a cage. It is a weapon. Day 4. Social presence in command. You've begun the transformation within. You've reclaimed your body. You've upgraded your mind. But now it's time to turn outward. Because if the world still treats you like the man you used to be, then the process is incomplete. Day 4 is about commanding presence, not through arrogance, but through alignment. The Stoics didn't seek attention, but when they walked into a room, people listened. Why? Because their energy was disciplined. Their presence wasn't loud, but it was undeniable. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome, yet when he spoke, it was with restraint, not performance. He didn't demand respect, he radiated it. That's your model for today. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about removing everything that's been muting your natural presence. The way you walk, the way you hold eye contact, the calmness in your tone. These are not cosmetic traits. They are signals, and right now you're going to rewire how you send them. Start with posture. Straighten your spine, shoulders back, chin level. Not puffed up, but grounded. Imagine a rope pulling you gently from the top of your head. Your body must reflect self-respect before your words ever do. When you enter a room, enter slowly. Pause before you speak. Most people rush to fill silence. Let silence do the heavy lifting. It makes people lean in. Next, examine your voice. Not just what you say, but how you say it. Lower your volume. Speak slower. Enunciate clearly. A calm voice is a powerful voice. Seneca once wrote, "Speech that is restrained is more powerful than speech that is loud." The man who controls his tone doesn't just sound confident. He makes people question why he's so composed. That mystery builds gravity, and gravity attracts respect. Now upgrade your appearance. Not to impress others, but to reflect discipline. Cut what's messy. Clean what's neglected. Sharpen what's dull. A man who can manage his image without vanity signals order. He signals attention to detail. You're not doing this to be liked. You're doing it to remove distractions. You are not a billboard. You are a monument. And monuments don't beg for attention. They command it by standing still and radiating meaning. Let's take Leonardo da Vinci as a reference. He wasn't just an artist. He was an engineer, philosopher, and scientist. But what struck people most wasn't just what he created. It was his stillness. He was known for his measured movements, quiet gaze, and focused presence. That was no accident. He practiced solitude. He studied anatomy. He paid attention to how the body and mind interact. His genius wasn't loud. It was centered. It was deliberate. And it left an impression without explanation. Today, practice non-reactivity. If someone cuts you off, stay composed. If someone tries to test your energy, hold eye contact, then walk away. Command isn't control over others. It's control over yourself in front of others. The Stoics called this eupatheia, healthy emotions guided by reason. When you embody that, people stop testing your boundaries and start respecting your energy. You're not here to dominate. You're here to calibrate. Your presence should speak long before your mouth does. Every gesture, every pause, every step today is part of your training. You're learning to lead with clarity, not noise. With focus, not performance. By the end of day 4, people may not know exactly what changed, but they'll feel it. You'll speak less, but be heard more. You'll move slower, but carry more weight. That's not performance. That's power. Not because you forced it, but because you earned it. This is day 4. And from this moment forward, the room no longer changes you. You change the room. Day 5. Relentless execution. You've cleared the past. You've rebuilt the body. You've rewritten the mind. You've recalibrated your presence. But none of it matters if you don't take action. That's what today is for, relentless execution. Not planning, not analyzing, but doing. Because at some point, progress is not about clarity. It's about force. About movement. About discipline and motion, not just theory and thought. Seneca once said, "While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away." And that is the quiet tragedy of most people. They know what to do, but they wait for the right mood, for the right motivation, for the perfect plan. But the Stoics didn't believe in perfect conditions. They believed in aligning with nature, and nature rewards those who act. So today you act, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, start with this mindset. The cost of inaction is always greater than the cost of imperfection. You don't need to feel motivated. You need to move. You don't need to figure out step 20. You need to do step 1, immediately, ruthlessly, without negotiation. If you know you should apply, send the email. If you know you should build, start building. If you know you should speak, speak. Don't wait for the fear to leave. Walk straight into it, because what you avoid owns you. The Stoics believed in prohairesis, the power of choice. You cannot control the outcome, but you can always control your action. That is the Stoic definition of freedom. It doesn't mean you always win. It means you never freeze. Marcus Aurelius woke up each morning and reminded himself of the obstacles he would face. Not to dread them, but to prepare. He didn't wait to feel inspired. He worked because work was part of who he was. That's what you train today, identity through execution. And don't confuse motion with momentum. One big effort followed by a crash is not power. Consistency is power. Ruthless, unflashy, unbroken consistency. Real execution isn't about how loudly you start. It's about how silently you continue. Most people are addicted to beginnings. You must become addicted to finishing, to showing up again and again, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Take Johann Sebastian Bach, a name synonymous with genius. But his genius wasn't in sudden bursts. It was in his relentless practice. He composed over 1,000 pieces. That's one piece every week for nearly 20 years. Not because he felt inspired, but because he showed up. That's what mastery looks like. It's not dramatic. It's disciplined. So today, set a timer, 60 minutes. No phone, no breaks. Choose the one task you've been delaying and do it fully, deeply, without exit routes. Then repeat. This isn't a productivity hack. It's a war on hesitation. You are no longer asking, can I do it? You're declaring, I do it now. And as you execute, expect resistance, expect boredom, expect setbacks. The Stoics didn't avoid these. They embraced them as part of the path. Epictetus taught that every obstacle is fuel for the fire. Difficulties are things that show a person who they are. Short, if you feel tired, good. That means you're in it. That means you're no longer coasting. By the end of day 5, your identity should feel sharper, more grounded, not because of what you thought about, but because of what you did. You're not here to be inspired. You're here to move, to act, to prove moment by moment that hesitation no longer lives here. This is day 5, and your momentum is no longer something you wait for. It's something you create. Day 6, build a personal system. You've begun executing with force. You've proven that hesitation can be silenced. But if you want this new life to last, if you want transformation to become your new normal, then you must move beyond willpower. Because willpower fades, emotion shifts. But systems endure. That's what today is about. Designing a personal system that makes your discipline automatic and your progress inevitable. The Stoics were not just philosophers. They were system builders. They created daily routines, mental exercises, and rituals to reinforce their values. Marcus Aurelius wrote meditations not for publication, but as a structured system to examine his thoughts and fortify his perspective. Epictetus taught students to rehearse their responses to adversity before it struck. Seneca scheduled time each evening to reflect, evaluate, and correct course. These were not loose intentions. They were disciplined frame. And that's your task today, to make your values visible, to make your growth automatic, to build habits that protect your future self from your weaker moments. This isn't about controlling everything. It's about creating conditions where the best version of you shows up by default. Start by identifying your non-negotiables. These are the actions that anchor your identity. Waking up early, moving your body, reading, planning your day, practicing silence. You don't need 20 of them, just 3 to 5, chosen with precision, protected with discipline. Think of them as the pillars of your new operating system. Next, schedule them. Not as vague intentions, but as locked blocks in your day. Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus taught that philosophy must be practiced like training. It must have a time, a place, and a repeatable structure. Without that, even the wisest principles vanish under pressure, So build a system that anticipates failure, that protects you from emotional drift, that removes decision fatigue. Because every time you have to think about whether you'll do the hard thing, you've already lost half the one hasumonis. And simplify. Complexity breaks. What's sustainable is repeatable. What's repeatable becomes identity. You're not building a perfect system. You're building a strong one that works on tired days, on busy days, on dark days. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. Make sure what you fall into is solid. Now create friction against your worst habits. If your weakness is endless scrolling, remove the apps. If it's bad food, clean the fridge. If it's distraction, silence the noise. Your environment should speak your standards. Every detail should nudge you toward clarity. Even the Stoics emphasize this. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That means you don't just talk about discipline. You design a world that expects it from you. A system isn't complete until your surroundings echo and track your behavior. Not to obsess, to stay awake. A single sheet of paper, a journal, a calendar with one red X for every day you kept your promise. That visual loop is not for pride, it's for momentum. Because when you see progress, you protect it. You build upon it. You refuse to break the chain. Measurement creates mindfulness. Look at Benjamin Franklin. Every day he asked himself 2 questions. What good shall I do this day? And what good have I done today? He created a system of 13 virtues, each one tracked weekly, and used it to shape his moral character. Not with perfection, but with consistency. That's what systems do. They make greatness feel ordinary because the extraordinary becomes habitual. By the end of day 6, your environment should be cleaner. Your time should be more structured. Your energy should be better preserved. And your identity, no longer a loose collection of motivation, but a well-defended fortress of habits. This is day 6, and you are no longer relying on discipline alone. You've built something that will carry you when motivation fails. Day 7. Solidify your new identity. You've broken the old patterns. You've rebuilt your body, mind, and habits. But the final step isn't about pushing harder. It's about anchoring deeper. Day 7 is not about doing more. It's about becoming someone new and making that transformation permanent. The Stoics believed that philosophy wasn't something you study once and move on from. It had to be revisited daily. Rehearsed and embodied because identity is not built in one powerful week. It's built through repetition. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations to become wise. He wrote it because he knew that without repetition, even wisdom fades. That's the mindset for today. You are no longer trying to improve. You are working to stabilize the person you've become. Start by reflecting on this week, not just what you did, but how you showed up. Think of each day as a layer: destruction, rebuilding, rewiring, commanding, acting, systemizing. Now your task is to protect the architecture you've constructed. That means 2 things: reinforcing your vision and eliminating threats to your consistency. First, reinforce the vision. Write it down clearly, boldly, like a personal creed. Who are you now? What do you tolerate? What do you no longer entertain? This is not about wishful thinking. This is identity declaration. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he was a ruler, a servant to duty, and a man of principle. He didn't assume that identity, he reaffirmed it, especially when tested. You must do the same. Next, set boundaries. Real boundaries. The kind that protect your energy, your focus, and your time. You don't need to announce them. You just live them. People will feel the difference. You no longer justify who you're becoming. You just embody it. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That means not everyone will understand your new priorities. That's okay. You're not building consensus. You're building sovereignty. Now look around. Who reinforces the old identity? Who tempts you back into weakness? The Stoics were ruthless in their self-audits. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." That's not metaphor. That's survival. You are not just protecting your time. You are protecting the man you've worked 7 days to become. Choose people, inputs, and environments that pull you forward, not backward. Then ritualize your foundation. Pick one habit from this week that will serve as your daily cornerstone. It might be silence, ismasas kinin, cold exposure, writing, lifting, walking. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it anchors you. Identity isn't sustained by memory. It's sustained by motion, and that motion must become sacred. Every day you keep that ritual, you remind your nervous system, this is who I am now. Consider the life of Frederick Douglass. Born into slavery, taught himself to read, escaped captivity, then rose to become one of the most powerful voices in American history. But what made him unbreakable was his unshakable identity. He wrote constantly. He refined his mind. He stood, spoke, and lived with moral clarity. His greatness was not sudden. It was repeated daily for decades. Through journals, speeches, and disciplined action, he forged not just a message, but a self. By the end of day 7, your mind should feel quieter. Not because life is easier, but because you become clearer. You're not wondering who you are. You're walking like someone who's already decided. That's what Stoicism teaches. You don't become powerful by doing more. You become powerful by becoming still, rooted in principles, unmoved by chaos, devoted to mastery. This is day 7, and the old life doesn't tempt you anymore, because now you're too grounded to return. You've just completed something most people never dare to even begin. You didn't just watch a video. You walked through fire. You faced discomfort. You rewrote your patterns. And now you stand as someone new. Not because the world changed, but because you did. The Stoics taught that true power isn't found in moments of motivation. It's built in quiet repetition, in structure, in discipline. And over these 7 days, you've proven that to yourself. But this isn't the end. It's the foundation. Revisit this process. Reinforce it. Protect it. Let this become your new baseline, not your peak. And when the noise returns, when doubt whispers, when the old habits try to claw their way back, remember, you've already defeated them once, and you can do it again. So walk forward, not with noise, but with clarity. Not to impress, but to lead. Because now, you've become someone unrecognizable.